Welcome to the Crowdfunding Roundup, everyone. This is the third episode that I'm doing of these, and the first one that's looking at the games that come out over the weekend. So I'm going to be publishing these videos moving forward 3 times a week. The Wednesday edition will look at all of the stuff that came out Tuesday. So that's going to be the biggest day of the week, the biggest video. Then on Friday, I'll be putting out an edition looking at what came out on Wednesday and Thursday. And then the following week on Tuesdays, I'll be looking at all the campaigns that came out over the weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then we'll be back to the Wednesday edition looking at the big glut of games on Tuesday. So this is the third one of these that's come out. It's the first that is a Tuesday edition, looking at the stuff that came out over the weekend. This channel is undergoing a lot of changes, and this is the first part of those changes. So I used to do a video series called the Kickstarter Weekly. I'll have more on that at the end of the video if you want to hear about it, but I'm not going to be publishing it anymore. In short, that's what's happening. I'm not publishing it anymore. I was going to do 3 more videos to kind of bring it current with the crowdfunding roundups, but I've decided not to do that. And I'll talk about that more at the end of the video. And at the end of this video, I will have a little bonus section to sort of make up what I'm not going to be publishing through the Kickstarter Weekly. So if you're interested in that, you can stick around, and that will be at the end. For everyone else, welcome to the Crowdfunding Roundup. We're going to look at 5 campaigns that have come out since the last video over the weekend. There's often not that much that comes out over the weekend. So these are kind of 5 smaller campaigns. And the best way to support the channel at this time is to like and subscribe. Also, subscribing will keep you in the loop so that as I continue to launch more content over the coming months, I'm going to be relaunching my teach and review videos with kind of better cameras and lighting and stuff like that. I'm going to be doing live streaming. But if you subscribe that way, you'll kind of be in the know when all that stuff starts appearing. But the change from the Kickstarter Weekly to the Crowdfunding Roundup is the first of those changes, and it's going to free up a lot of time for me that's going to allow me to do those other things, which I think is going to be in everyone's best interest, mine and yours. So the first of these is The Veil. Here we go, The Veil Between Worlds. This one came out on Friday. So we have 1 campaign this week that came out on Friday, 2 that came out on Saturday, nothing on Sunday, and 2 on Monday. So only 5 campaigns, not a lot. This is The Veil Between Worlds. As you can see, this is going to complete its funding on May 2nd. So this is a very long campaign, and it's already funded. And if you want to see Death Angel Entertainment is the publisher here. They've actually run a few other campaigns, but this is the first one that they're doing through Death Angel Entertainment. Logan Gendron is the designer, and this is his company, Death Angel Entertainment, and I believe the other campaigns were run through an account that was just named after him. So this is sort of an expansion thing between worlds. If you're curious about the original game, it's got an entry over here on Board Game Geek. It's called just The Veil. See, Logan Gendron, self-published. It's a deck builder, kind of a fantasy, horror-y kind of deck builder, fairly light complexity, and it's got decent ratings over here on Board Game Geek, but there isn't a listing yet for Between Worlds. So this is what you can find if you're just interested in learning a little bit more about the game on Board Game Geek. Deck building, solo solitary game, fantasy themed, and as it describes here, you've got thematic decks, and you're just trying to play opponents and defeat each other's health. So it's kind of a fighting deck builder. Okay, let's take a quick look through the campaign just so you can get a look at what it looks like. It's for 1 to 5 players, plays in 45 minutes. It's self-published, so it's not the most elaborate production you've ever seen, I'm sure. There are some playmats here. They've got sleeves, they've got like a wooden box. You can keep everything in. There are various game mats you can get as add-ons. There's some how to play videos if you're interested in that. There's kind of a closer shot of the neoprene mat, the battle mat. And you can see the art, I'm not sure. He doesn't have an artist credited, I don't think. But I'm not sure if it's commissioned art or kind of a combination of found art. Here we see, I think he's got the logo and card back by Mombedo and Logan Genren. So he designed the logo and card back, and then the graphic elements were provided by Jojo Ojoj. So this is the person who is responsible for the art, which looks like it's like kind of like a combination, like a pastiche of art. Okay, so if you're interested in backing this, you've got the green tier here for $15, which will get you this new expansion pack of 54 plus cards, updates, stretch goals. Let's see. It's going to ship by May 2024. So it's a long campaign, and it's also got a while to deliver. It's not going to be quick on either side. And I'd like to find shipping for you. Let's see. See if I click on it. Okay, there it is. So in the continental US, you're looking at $8 shipping on this expansion. So it's $23 total. If you go to the blue tier, it's $55, and that is the base game, essentially. It's called Season 1. So shipping on that is $10. The red tier is going to get you both, the base game and the new expansion, and with shipping, that will be $75. And then the black tier just comes with some extra stuff. So you've got 2 copies of the base game, and you've got a couple mats. Let's see if that also populates. That does. So that's a huge price jump, though, as you can see. So $65 for this one, the game and the expansion. But then we go up to $229 if you're throwing in a second copy of the game. Also includes that deluxe wooden game box. That's probably a lot of the cost there. And you've got 2 game mats. And so that is, all told, $254. I'm sure you could get this a little bit cheaper, a lot cheaper, if you wanted some game mats, like 1 or 2 game mats, but without the box. And let's see if they show a price. I'm curious if you just do the box as an add-on. Okay, it's $90 for the box. You can also add on card sleeves, but that would have to be a separate thing. So this is a lot of that, larger jump up in price right there. So if you don't want to do that, just forego the box. You can get the maybe a couple copies of the base game and some play mats, and you'll be closer to the the red tier than the black tier. But that is The Veil Between Worlds. That launched on Friday, and then we've got these 2 games that came out on Saturday. So we've got this game called Exit Strategy. This is also funded. It's going to complete on March 24th. This is, let's see what they've done before, Bigger Worlds out of Australia. Okay, so they've done a couple things. They've got this game called Fervor, which looks like the first time around it was canceled. It didn't make it. Unsuccessful the second time, but they did produce a game called Cosmos Empires. And now they're doing this game, Exit Strategy, which is a very simple game. You're going to have these... This really kind of lays out the gameplay completely right here. So you're going to have these different characters that start from starting spaces, and you're going to move them and create walls, and you can't cross walls. So you're going to be using the placement of walls as you move to try to block in the other characters. That's it. That's the whole game. So it's very simple, a very light game, colorful. Let's see. There's a how to play video if you need that. Here are the creators here. So Martin Brandel is the designer. He's not the designer or the artist. He's just behind the scenes guy, social coordinator, project coordinator. They've said that this company, Glowcraft, is going to be responsible for the production. So it's not so much that they have an artist on this game. It's just that they need someone to physically make these components. So that's who they're going to for that. It's a company called Glowcraft. And, you've got digital files here for $4 if you just want to make your own. And if you want the game, you're looking at $41. Let's see if it populates automatically. It does. So it is $60 to the US. That means you're basically basically paying 50% on the shipping. So the game's, $40, and shipping is going to be the equivalent of $20 for a total of 60. And then they've got a deluxe box here, and that's going to be $80 or $100 with the shipping. Let's see. And then they've got this higher pledge level. This only has 10 copies though. So custom premium pieces come in that one. Let's see if we can see what that means up here in the campaign. Glowcraft. No, I don't see them really listing what this is. Okay, so they say here, exit strategy will have a wooden board, 6 colored meeples. Okay, so the original version, the base version, is just going to have meeples. These funky things you're seeing from Glowcraft, that's going to be the collector's edition. It's got the thicker, sturdier board, swappable colors, extra decoration. All the walls will be colored to match your meeples. I imagine that's kind of the version you would want if you're going to do this. Let's see. So that is the deluxe box here. Yeah. So what they're calling the deluxe box over here and the collector's edition over here are the same thing. And then this one is the one that's limited to 10 copies. It says, we love making meeples with tons of personality. As our highest pledge tier, you get your copy with little guys tailored to your liking. So you'll be involved in some way in the creation of those. They'll be custom. So what you're seeing here in these pictures, that's kind of the collector's edition, the deluxe, but you'll be able to tweak them even more if you get that high, this really expensive version for $154, including shipping. But you'll probably be able to have very specific figures that are each kind of unique. But that's not going to be for most people. So that launched on Saturday, and so did this game Quickfire. Now, this is by Gavin Birnbaum, who has a company called Cuzco Games. These are action dexterity games, and he handcrafts these. So when he does campaigns, there's a long time towards production until fulfillment because he's literally building every single one of these separately. And he's got his own little kind of corner, his own little niche corner of board gaming. So this funded quite handily, and it's going to complete funding on March 24th. There's Gavin. So a copy of the game, Quickfire, will cost you $73, $102 with shipping in the continental US. There is a higher pledge level here, but it doesn't say what is coming with it. Something good, some extra that they're making a surprise. But so generally, this is the level you're going to be looking at, $102 for this. And, it's handcrafted. And if you're curious about Cuzco Games, let's just go over here to search by publisher. He's been making these games for a while, since 2009, out of London. And we can look at them by year released. So his most recent ones, he's got Ow, Chopsticks, Jam Sumo. I actually know someone who has a copy of Jam Sumo, and we played it. You're kind of flicking dice type counters across a board and trying to shoot them into a hole. But all of his games are these kind of action dexterity games. There's one that he created down here called QE. I don't know if you can, I don't know if I'm going to see it. It might be in the next page. I think it goes down in the next page. But he designed it originally, or maybe this is the original version. I think that's the original version, yeah. And then another publisher picked it up. Oh, see, it's not showing the other game because he didn't publish it. So he published this handmade version of it in 2017. And then I believe it was BoardGameTables.com picked it up in 2019. Yeah, and they made their own version of it. So, but that started with Gavin Birnbaum. So if you've heard of this game from BoardGameTables.com, it was an early production of Gavin Birnbaum. Okay, so that launched on Saturday, Quickfire. And then these two games launched yesterday on Monday. So we've got Purim board game, and this is a Jewish-themed game, and it's by a publisher who makes a lot of biblical games. Funhill Games. So let's look at them over on here. Funhill. Okay, so let's look by year released. So they've got several of these, kind of biblical themed games. They started out here in 2014. They've got one called Kings of Israel. Wisdom of Solomon came out in 2018. Disciple Detective came out in 2020. And these are all scored in the 7s in terms of, what people think of them, which is a solid score. It may not be the greatest game in the world. It's not an 8 or a 9, but, this is respectable. So if you're looking for a Bible-themed game, I guess they're not a bad publisher. They're actually making decent games at the very least. And their most recent one here was this OT Fantasy Draft in 2022. This one I'm not sure about. It doesn't have a rank yet, which means it may not be out. But you can see these are at least decent, solid games based on their scores. So, but the latest is not biblical themed, it's Jewish themed. So it's called Purim. And you can get a look at what the board is like here. I believe, let's take a quick look back here. I believe it's kind of an area majority game. Ancient religious in the categories. Yeah, area majority, area movement, cooperative game, simultaneous action selection, and solo solitaire. So you can play it solo solitaire. And they described it over here as a cooperative card management and area control game. Now, if you look up the designer, Philip DuBarry, because I know that name. Oh, designed Black Orchestra, which I think people may know, where you're trying to get the Hitler's briefcase. So if we look at his most highest rated designs, it includes Black Orchestra, this game Revolution, Spirits of the Rice Paddy. So I've heard of some of these. An Eminent Domain expansion. Looks like he also did Wisdom of Solomon. Well, here's a question. Is Philip DuBarry... Things that make you go, Is Philip DuBarry behind Funhill Games? Unclear. I'm thinking probably not. They've just published his stuff. I'm thinking it's probably someone else that's behind it. But he has published a game before. Now I'm actually even more curious. Let's take a quick look at more than one. Okay, so Kings of Israel is designed by Lance Hill. Masters of Solomon was by Philip DuBarry. And let's look at the third one, Disciple Detective. Okay, Lance Hill again. So let's look at the fourth one. Let's just keep going. The fantasy draft game. Lance Hill again. So yeah, Funhill Games looks to be Lance Hill's company, and they happen to have one design that they published by Philip DuBarry, who is better known for other non-religious games. But he's back. He's working with them again, and he's designed Purim. So it's kind of a Jewish-themed area majority cooperative game. Here's what it looks like. Here's what the cards look like. This is probably not something that I would personally back, but it's, I'm not usually looking for religious-themed games. But if you are, they're hard to find. And they're hard to find good ones. So this is going to be at least a solid one that's worth investigating a little bit further. And they've got some gameplay videos up if you want to explore this further. Not a ton, but they do have some. Okay, so the board game here is $35. It does not list a shipping like autofill as some of the other campaigns we're doing. I think I did see this earlier though. Shipping, it's free in the US, and they're not shipping outside of the US. So if you're outside of the US, sorry, you're out of luck this time around. If you're in the US, there's no additional shipping charge. So $35 for the game. And then if you want to get some of their other games as well, you can pledge higher levels for bundles. So the $75 bundle comes with Wisdom of Solomon. There's another $75 bundle that comes with Kings of Israel. And you can get all three of those games for $95. And again, free shipping all around. Okay, the final game of this video of this period is called Roll and Rock. This also launched yesterday on Monday, and this is a roll and write game. And this is, just funded at a very small funding goal in the hundreds of dollars, but that's often the case when you're doing these print and play roll and write games. So we've got a campaign being run by Dice Pen, and they have done something before. Let's see. I think it's a game called Roll and Rails. Yeah. So if you're curious about Roll and Rails, you can go over here and look them up. Roll and Rails came out in 2022. It's got a 7.2 score, but this gray color means that not very many people have scored it. So it's not enough really to stand behind that score. But this was a roll and write game that they did kind of themed around trains and transportation. And it looks like they probably, since the name's similar, I'm guessing they took a lot of that same design and applied it to rock and roll. So here we can take a look at the player sheets. It looks interesting to me. I like the kind of graphic design here. And then they've got, kind of, I think, stretch goals for for more bands. So if it does well, you'll kind of get more sheets that have more bands. Primal is one of their bands. Okay. All right. So, normally I think if someone hasn't run a lot of campaigns, it's a higher risk. But if you're talking about a print and play game where it's, just digital files, it's pretty low risk, right? So you've got one pledge level here for $4. It's just going to get you the game, stretch goals, and a soundtrack. And this is stuff that you'll just be able to download. So nothing's getting shipped here, which means that the risk is very low and you're only risking $4 anyway. And then there is a higher pledge level for $6 that includes 3 additional soundtracks. So there's no more game. You're just getting 3 additional soundtracks. Music for you to play the game with. I think you probably need to explore this a little bit more to see if this is something that you'd want to spend money on. I don't know offhand how deep the gameplay is, how good the gameplay is, but it's a roll and write. And it's by a company that's already made one roll and write. Dice Pen. Roll and Rails. Okay. So these are the 5 campaigns that came out in the last week. So I would normally end the video right here and say thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to have the biggest roundup of the week because it'll cover all the games that launched today on Tuesday, which is when the majority of campaigns launch. However, as I mentioned at the top, I am no longer going to be publishing the Kickstarter Weekly. It took a lot of time to do those videos. The editing that I would do for those videos probably took as much time as it will take to do the editing for a month's worth of these videos, since these are just kind of much more free form and aren't going to require a lot of editing. I was planning on doing 3 more Kickstarter Weeklies because the Kickstarter Weeklies are kind of designed for me to recommend campaigns that are completing their funding. And I thought if I put 3 more of those videos out, then by the time I get to the last of those, the games in the crowdfunding roundup will have caught up to them. Because the crowdfunding roundup started last week, and that is games that are I'm looking at games like right as they're launching. So I figured, let me kind of just finish looking over at the games that I really wanted to recommend, and then those 2 series would catch each other, and then I would finish. But it's been a super busy week. I'm already behind getting the Kickstarter Weekly out for last week. It would be really late, and campaigns are already ending. And so I figured it's just the amount of work involved doesn't make it worthwhile. It's better off for me to just end that series now and kind of move forward with what I'm doing. But I didn't want to leave anyone hanging who is maybe waiting on recommendations for campaigns that I won't have covered in this, right? Because this just started last week. There's going to be games that launched previously that are completing their funding over the next few weeks, and I won't have covered those games. So my solution is I've got 3 videos, 3 weeks of Kickstarter Weeklies to cover. I'm just going to quickly cover 1 week of completing campaigns over each one of 3 videos. So the first one will be right now, in this video here. We're going to do a little bonus section, and I'm going to look at the games that are that I would have recommended that are completing their funding this week. That means some of them actually have already finished. So if any of these really kind of like strike a chord for you, maybe you can get in on a late pledge. And then the games that are completing funding next week, I'll be looking at in my video tomorrow at the very end, after I talk about all the games that launched today. And then when I do the video at the end of the week that looks at the campaigns that came out on Thursday and Friday, I will, at the end of that video, cover the crowdfunding campaigns I would have recommended that are coming out in 2 weeks. And then I'll sort of be caught up, and then we'll just be doing these videos 3 times a week and looking at everything that's coming out under the sun. And it's just a better way to do it, I think. It's easier for me. Visually, you get to see what I'm talking about. So that, to me, that's a huge selling point. Even though the Kickstarter Weekly took a lot of time for me to do and a lot of editing, there wasn't as much visually to see. So I think it's a huge selling point for me to be showing the game to you, with pictures and things, kind of scrolling through the campaigns. And if it merits it, sometimes I'll even play the video. Some of the videos are pretty cool. So we'll look at those when I feel like it's warranted. But this will be a look at things as they come out. I'll try not to spend too much time with any one campaign. But, if you want to come here and kind of look at the campaigns that are launching with me, then you don't have to go over to Kickstarter and Gamefound and BackerKit and do it on your own. You can just watch my video, kind of quickly look through everything and see if anything is interesting for you. And then if it is, you can just go down into the description of the video where there will always be links to the campaigns. The videos will also be bookmarked. So you can kind of just mouse over and look for something specific, jump to that part of the video, see what it's all about. If it's a campaign that you like, jump to the campaign itself from the description. So easy, I think, easy to produce, easy to do. And that will mean that I'm going to be getting to revamped teach and review videos and live streaming that much sooner. And really that's what I want the channel to be all about, is me showcasing games to you and having game experiences with you. So I think this will be a better way of doing that, and it will also pave the way towards me doing more things that are more in line with that. Cool. That said, let's take a look at the 5 campaigns that I would have been covering in this week's Kickstarter Weekly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with them, but I do want to quickly kind of look through them. So the first of these was, and I actually backed this one, as you can see, is the Stefan and Feld Connect collection, Vienna and Cuzco. These are games 5 and 6. See, this one actually completed its funding on Monday. These are games 5 and 6 in this new series from Stefan Feld. I'm a huge fan of Stefan Feld. Bonfire is maybe my favorite. I'm really looking forward to getting Merlin to the table. I've played Luna. I've played Macau, which is now, that was redesigned as one of these games, and maybe it's either Amsterdam or Hamburg. I'm thinking it was Amsterdam. But yeah, and Castles of Burgundy, I think most people love that game. It's sort of an instant classic. So he had 2 more games in this collection. He has Cuzco, and here's what that one looks like. And this one is set in the Inca Empire. You can see the components, double layer player board, and through this campaign he's doing deluxe versions of all these, which means you can get like special sleeves, numbered sleeves, there's like storage systems and things like that, but these games will all be available at retail in their kind of cheaper version. He also did a lot of really expensive additional coins, so each game had its own coin set add-on and a challenge coin. And if you were doing, kind of the coins for every game, these pledges got really expensive. I did not do that. So I just got the nice deluxe version of the games with the nicer components, but I did not get all of the extra coins, which I thought they seemed unnecessary to me. I mean, cool if you can afford them, or if you want to throw them in, but totally unnecessary. And Gaming Rules has playthroughs and tutorials for all of these games, and Paul Grogan's the best. So if you're looking for a good tutorial, he'd be the first one I'd probably almost always recommend. So they had pledge levels here where you could just get the classic version. This will be what's available at retail for Vienna, also for Cuzco. Then they had the deluxe versions, and then they had bundles. You could get, the 2 classic versions together, the kind of 2 upgraded versions together. They also had bundles with Marrakesh, which was from the second campaign. So this is the 3rd campaign. Each campaign had 2 games. Marrakesh was in the second campaign, and that was the first new game. So the other 3, Hamburg, Amsterdam, and New York City, were all redesigns of previous games. Marrakesh was a new design that worked around like a cube tower. You see, he has bundles here with all of the games. Gets expensive, and then if you're getting all of these extra coins and coin sets, it gets really expensive. But if you like Stefan Feld, look at all these coins. If you like Stefan Feld, this is a way to pick up some new versions of older games that have been tweaked and redesigned and rethemed. And you don't have to break the bank. You can get the classic versions, or you can at least get the deluxe versions without all of the coins. Let's just, because I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm curious. So yeah, Cuzco is a re-implementation, a redesign of Bora Bora, which came out originally in 2013, and it's sort of a worker placement game, set collection. And Vienna, I'm looking at the wrong version, I think. Is there an updated version? Here we go, Vienna 2023. Okay, because there's other games, that are named Vienna, so that could get confusing. But his new game, Vienna, is a re-implementation of La Isla. And these are kind of lighter games. I think some of the games from the first 2 campaigns were a little more Euro-y, kind of more in the medium weight range. These are in the lighter range to some degree. So this one is commodity speculation, hand management, set collection. And, the original game here was themed around sort of the tropics, but obviously that's not going to be the case with Vienna. It's literally themed around the city of Vienna. And each of these games here in this Stefan Feld City collection is themed around a different city. And I know there's 2 more games coming. They've announced them. I believe one of them is an Indian city. Let's see. I don't know if it's this new. Do they have the city collection on here? Let's see. Re-implemented by Vienna. Here we go. Stefan Feld City Collection. Okay, so the next 2 are going to be Patliputra, which is a new game. So it's a new design. And then Nassau, which is a re-implementation of Roman Pirates, which is one of his very first games. It's a very early game here. So probably very out of print at this point and hard to find. And that's a much lighter game. Dice, miniatures, pirates, action points. So he's retheming it around Nassau. So these are the next 2 games. Who knows when this campaign will be out? Probably in the next 6 months, I'm thinking, something like that. And, if you miss this campaign and for some reason you can't jump on this as a late pledge or something, no doubt those games will be available through the campaign for 7 and 8. And then it's unclear whether there will be more, if it'll just finish at 8. Okay. So, Blueprints of Mad King Ludwig, I was also going to feature in the Kickstarter Weekly. This is sort of a roll and write version, or a flip and write version of the Castles of Mad King Ludwig. And I did not back this one. This one's already completed as well, I believe. This one completed today. Yeah. So, roll and write. It's not a printed play. It is a physical game, that you would get. It's $40 here for the retail, $70 for the deluxe. And, there's some videos if you wanted to see those. Monique and Naveen are 2 of my favorite people who do teaches and reviews, in addition to Paul Grogan. So they're great. I would always watch them. I didn't back this one just because, look, so you can see all this component-wise. There is a lot of coloring. There's colored pencils, pencil sharpeners, and it just felt like, to me anyway, here there's a storage system. It felt like it was so fiddly with all of this coloring. If you watch some of the gameplay videos, you'll see, I don't know if they really show it in the campaign itself. I like Castles of Mad King Ludwig a lot. I think it's an amazing game and one of these kind of really good medium weight games that lighter gamers and heavier gamers can kind of play together and enjoy. So it's one of my mainstays, the Castles of Mad King Ludwig. But this one, this version, this kind of flippin' right thing, it just seemed like you're doing so much coloring on it. And, there's disposable components, obviously. But it just felt very, very fiddly. It made me want to just go play Castles of Mad King Ludwig. But I cannot deny Ted Alspach as a designer. He's a really good designer. Let's just look at him quickly. So he did the Werewolf games. He's done Maglev Metro, Castles of Mad King Ludwig. There was a follow-up to Castles called Palaces, which didn't do as well. Yeah, that's a lot of his stuff. Castles, Maglev Metro. This is like a really interesting train game. It's an engine builder. And a lot of Ultimate Werewolf stuff. Oh, and Suburbia. So, I mean, he's a really solid designer. He's Silver Dagger, people might know. Silver Coin. It's kind of like its own little series. But he's designed a lot of really good stuff. So, this is at least something that's worth taking a look at. Just a really good designer. Okay, so that was going to be included. I was also going to include Roll&Meow. Now, I don't include too many roll and write games, but this one had me intrigued, and it's got really cool art. This one, I think, also just completed today. So, can we look through the campaign, or has it kind of disappeared? Let's see. Sometimes after the campaign's over, a lot of it... No, there we go. A lot of it will kind of disappear. It's just didn't load properly. Let me see if I can get it to load again. Okay, so this was a roll and write game. See these sheets that you're playing with, but you're essentially like a cat thief. And I thought the art for this was really cool. Now, if you look at this kind of thing, you're going to be providing your own dice, because this is a print and play. Unlike Blueprints of Mad King Ludwig, which is something that they were going to send you a physical game, this is all print and play stuff. Okay, so you're downloading everything yourself. So even in these pictures, they're showing dice and they're showing like a standee. This is a standee you'd have to create yourself. So you'd have to go out and find your own bases to kind of approximate this and get your own dice. But I do like the art. I really like the art. And for me, this is something worth looking into further. And I think this to me had more going on than some of the other roll and writes that launched in the last few days. One or two of them I think I didn't even bother including in the roundup because they just were so bare base. But yeah, this is something I actually kind of wanted to show people. Now let's just quickly take a look at it over here. Roll&Meow, the Cat Burglars. So it's designed by Radoslaw Ignatow, published by Hammer Dice, art by Michal Taliga. Okay, so I actually have Waste Knights, and he did some of the art on Waste Knights. Age of Thieves, Blood Bowl Team Manager. So yeah, he's done a lot of Waste Knights art. And I really like the art for Waste Knights. It's a very different kind of a game that's more story-driven, kind of dark, exploratory narrative game where you're doing like status checks and things. And the designer here, let's see what he's done. Radoslaw. Not too much. I think his probably biggest thing is, the only thing that has a rating on it, really, the highest rating is, the most recent game is called Island Alone, and it looks like he rethemed it into a game called Space Alone. But just if you're wondering what the caliber of the game is like, and this is maybe even similar to Roll&Meow with its cat theme, but kind of more roll and write stuff. All right. So I was also going to take a look at Agueda Colorfield and Donut Shop, and this is from 25th Century Games, and they're doing 3 games in one here. They've got Agueda, which is themed around umbrellas, and Colorfield and Donut Shop. I'm just saying the names now. Okay, so there's Agueda. It's themed around these kind of like a... Let's just... You know what? Since we're doing it, let's do it. Agueda, City of Umbrellas. And it's a co-designed by Dustin Dobson and Milan Zivkovic. And I know these names because they worked on a couple of games for Button Shy. Rove, results-oriented versatile explorer, and Battlecrest Felwood's base game is... I thought they did another Button Shy game. Hold on, let's do this. Rank. You know, I think the other game, that's not a Button Shy game. It is Battlecrest. That is another Button Shy game. Oh, and Dustin Dobson did this game called Skulls of Sedlak, which has had a couple expansions. But yeah, those are all Button Shy games. Button Shy is a company that does these wallet card games. They're all 18 cards. So when they do expansions, they'll do expansions either of 18 cards or maybe kind of 3 expansions of 6 cards each. But for very small, portable card games, they do really good stuff. They have a game called Tussie Mussy that Elizabeth Hargrave designed, who did Wingspan. They've got... I'm blanking on one of their most famous games. And it'll come right up here if I go to them. Sprawlopolis. And then there's been some sequels to Sprawlopolis, like Agropolis and also Circle the Wagon. So that's some of their bigger games. But these two guys... The ones who designed Agueda, they've done some Button Shy games. And this has got some drafting in it, pattern building, tile placement, and worker placement. Color field. Okay, different designer, Mondo Davis. And this is more of an abstract strategy puzzle game. It's also got tile placement on it. This is Mondo Davis. His face is familiar to me. Well, he designed a game called Mansplaining, but I guess he doesn't have anything beyond that. So a newer designer, I just recognize the picture, I guess. Let's close out of some of these. And we don't need the Stefan Feld City Collection, and we don't need Blueprints anymore either. Or Roll&Meow, we're done with that. Okay, it's being published by 25th Century Games. You know what? Since we're here, they've done a lot of stuff, so let's just... It's always good, I think, to look and see what designers have done and publishers have done. So this is like a good way to kind of see what else they've done. Okay, so they did Three Sisters, which is, I have, it's a roll and write game. Kohaku. Ra, they did the most recent version of Ra, which is a really nice production. Reiner Knizia's auction and bidding game. Blazon. That one actually looked pretty interesting to me, yeah. So that's some of their stuff. They do kind of nice productions on these kind of smaller, lighter games. So there's your City of Umbrellas game. Here's Colorfield, more of an abstract game. And I'm not going to go too much into the gameplay or anything just because we've got 3 in 1. And then Donut Shop, which actually looks pretty fun. Look at these. Those look like almost like the Simpson donuts. But you're going to be doing tile placement with donuts, and you've got some, different like card trays and things like that. So, and they've got, if you're curious in seeing how it plays, it's all there. It's on the page. You can go check it out. I'm sure that these are, with 25th Century Games, these are probably pretty solid little designs, lighter games here. And you've got plenty of videos if you wanted to check them out as well. Oh, Jeffrey Allers designed Donut Shop. I know of him as well. Let's see what he's done. New York Slice. Citrus. Those are probably the big ones I think that people know. Yeah. So this campaign, if you're interested, this one's still ongoing. And this one's going to finish on Thursday, March 9th. So you still have an opportunity to take a look at this one and back this. And let's take a quick look at the pledges here. So we've got Colorfield, $29. Donut Shop's a little more expensive, $34. And Agueda's a little more expensive, $49. I'm sure they're going up because they have more extravagant components and it's a bigger game. Or for $95, you can just pledge the all-in. And here you've got the shipping. So any one game is 13, all 3 games is 17 bucks. This is for US. All right. So the final game that I would have been looking at in the Kickstarter Weekly was Huang by Phalanx. And I actually just profiled this on the very first crowdfunding roundup because this had a very short campaign. So this is a Reiner Knizia game. It has existed before under the name Tigris and Euphrates, also Yellow and Yangtze. So Phalanx, who is a war game publisher, is publishing a new version called Huang. And it looks like you've got a standard pledge here for 45 euros. And the deluxe is 59 euros. I'm not sure of the conversion of that off the top of my head. But let's see. So shipping, whatever you're doing, it's 16 euros. And if you get the playing mat, that's an additional 16. Hold on. Let's just take a quick look. Because this is, there's multiple versions of this game, and Yellow and Yangtze came out not that long ago, so you're getting another version of this game now through a different publisher. The Wooden Leaders set, this is kind of similar to the tiles that they had in Yellow and Yangtze, but with this new version, you can get a nice playmat here. I believe this is cloth, it's not neoprene, and some kind of building miniatures that look pretty nice. And that's what it looks like. Player screens. You're going to be placing these tiles out. It's kind of an area control. And there's also all these miniatures too that you can get. This is going to be with the deluxe version. So the standees are going to come in the standard pledge, but they look great. For me, I like miniatures. I always like going with miniatures. It's not always warranted, and all I ask is that in a cheaper version, they actually just have really good art and standees that are well made, and that seems to be the case here. So, I'd have no qualms about going with the standee version of this one. Although miniatures are nice too. So you've got options. You can kind of see what's right for your price point, but I think whatever you do, you're going to have a good looking game, which is not always the case. Sometimes they're kind of gearing you towards that deluxe pledge with the nicer components, and the cheaper stuff is stuff you don't even really want. But in this case, I think you're good either way. All right. These would have been the 5 games that I looked at in this week's Kickstarter Weekly, and I will go over the games for next week's Kickstarter Weekly in the video that I'm recording tomorrow. And then the last one will be the video that comes out on Friday. And then I'll be done. And then I'll just be looking at the campaigns as they launch. And behind the scenes, I will be working to start getting teach and review videos up and videos where I'm doing a deeper dive into mechanics and gameplay. Also live streaming. You know that I've been playing a lot of games on Board Game Arena. And some of them I think I could probably share some strategy tips and it would be helpful for people. So that's something else that I may do. But I think kind of streamlining the content the way I am now is going to help me get all of that other content out faster, quicker. And I think that's probably in everyone's best interest. And I do run a website right now where I do daily roundup posts. Right now I'm kind of duplicating some of those posts in these videos. I think the posts will also end very soon, like within the next week. We'll see. But for right now, you can go there and you can see a physical kind of post, a list with links to campaigns. And I always do it, the day after. So I will be doing that tomorrow, as well as putting out a crowdfunding roundup. But I think that's probably going to be the last day that I'll publish the list as well. And then I'll just be doing the crowdfunding roundup and moving forwards towards getting different kinds of content out on the channel here for your enjoyment. So until next time, which is tomorrow, take care and play lots of great games, and I'll see you soon.